Is Jacob Wilson the next A's superstar? Today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Booney. One name. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day. I'm from the Bay Area, and I've been a die-hard A's fan since 1981, and I'm here to bring you a real fan's take, covering everything from Oakland to Sacramento, and yes, to Las Vegas. This is the place for A's fans to get the latest game breakdowns, team news, and more. This is where the passion of the fans take center stage. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. Let's start with a shout out to Cal Canna on Twitter for putting together a wish list of topics for today's show. Cal wanted to know how the A's will win 82 games in 2025. Well, Cal, let's get real. The road for the A's to earn some respect in 2025 won't be paved with fairy dust and good intentions. If the green and gold are going to claw their way to 82 wins, or dare I say, actual contention, I have guaranteed an AL West championship. They will have to do a number of things that allowed them to be successful in July and August of 2024. We will break down exactly how the A's will do that a bit later. Cal wanted to know about the future of the A's outfield. He wanted to know about three outfielders in particular: Denzel Clarke, Henry Bolte, and Colby Thomas. How do they compare? What are their floors? What are their ceilings? And what do they need to do in 2025? That's in a bit. First, Jacob Wilson isn't just another prospect with a decent glove and a bat that might or might not translate. No, this kid has the tools to be the backbone of the A's resurgence. But will he? That's the million-dollar question. Is he the defensive wizard that stabilizes the infield? Can his bat hold up against big league pitching? And more importantly, can he be the guy who makes the A's a legitimate threat in 2025? Well, Cal Canna, if you wanted A's talk, you got it. Let's go. But before we get started, Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Now, customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, baseball fanatics, gather around because we are about to talk about the future of the Athletics. And no, it's not their move to Las Vegas or whether Stomper will be in Sacramento. We're talking about Jacob Wilson, the shortstop of tomorrow. And trust me, you're going to want to remember his name. Why? Because someday you'll be telling your grandkids, I saw him back when he was just a skinny kid with a good eye and a great pedigree. The Athletics may still be figuring out their long-term home, but one thing is certain: their shortstop of the future has arrived. Jacob Wilson, the A's top prospect and son of former MLB shortstop Jack Wilson, is set to make waves in 2025. But let's make one thing clear. Jacob isn't just riding his dad's coattails. No, sir. This kid is carving out his own path with a bat in one hand and a glove in the other. If his rapid rise through the minors and strong debut in 2024 are any indication, he's about to be a cornerstone for the franchise as it transitions towards Sacramento and eventually Las Vegas. Jacob Wilson is a hitting machine with uncanny contact skills. Wilson's ability to put the bat on the ball is nothing short of ridiculous. At Grand Canyon University, yes, that's a real school and not just a tourist destination, Jacob hit 360 over 3 seasons with 22 bombs and only 31 strikeouts in nearly 700 plate appearances. That's right. This guy strikes out about as often as your uncle turning down free beer. He's got an almost supernatural ability to make contact with the ball. Some scouts are calling it otherworldly, which is fitting because his strikeout rate is so low it feels like it defies laws of physics. Even in his brief MLB stint in 2024, he walked more times, 10, than he struck out, 8 in 92 at-bats. An absurd stat for a rookie. There's been some grumbling about his lack of power. His exit velocities aren't exactly lighting up the StatCast leaderboards, but here's the thing. He's only 23, and he's still growing into his frame. Give him some time to hit the weight room and maybe a few extra protein shakes, and we could see those doubles start turning into home runs. Right now, he's more of a line drive and gap shot guy than a launch it into orbit guy. Let's talk about his defense. He's a natural shortstop. Wilson just isn't a bat-first player. He's got some serious defensive chops at shortstop. His range is better than advertised, and he makes plays in the whole look routine. His arm strength, strong enough to make every throw needed at the position. He's also fundamentally sound, frequently starting smooth double plays and limiting mistakes. While he doesn't have the elite speed like his father, who led the NL in triples in 2004, Wilson's instincts allow him to make up for it. He won't steal a ton of bases, but he also won't run into unnecessary outs. A trait that will serve him well as he adjusts to big league pitching. What's his outlook looking like next year? Does he fit in the lineup? Right now, Wilson profiles as a number 7 hitter, but his potential suggests he'll eventually climb higher. If he starts driving the ball with more authority, he could settle into a top of the order role. His ability to make consistent contact will be a valuable asset to an A's lineup in need of stability. Ideally, Jacob Wilson is a prototype number 2 hitter, and eventually, maybe sooner or later, that is where I see him at. Right now, I see Wilson batting 9th, which is a huge position in the order. Max Schumann was a big key to our success in July last year, batting 9th. His ability to get on base, make something happen from the 9 hole, allowed the lineup to turn over, which allowed guys like Butler and Blade and Rooker to absolutely go to town. I expect that from Wilson this year. But here's the kicker. His ceiling is sky high. If he adds some muscle and starts driving the ball more consistently, he could easily move up in the order and become one of those hitters you don't want to see coming up with runners in scoring position. The A's may still be developing their roster, but they can at least rest easy knowing they have got their infield anchor for years to come. With the A's aiming to relocate to Las Vegas by 2028, Wilson's timeline perfectly aligns with the franchise's long-term plans. Jacob Wilson is that guy. He's not just a prospect. He's the cornerstone of what could be a very exciting future for the franchise. By the time the team hits Vegas, Wilson will be entering his prime. And if all goes accordingly, he'll be one of the faces of baseball. He'll have a few years to develop into a true leader before the team makes its move. If his bat develops the way the A's hope, he'll be a foundational player when the franchise begins its next chapter. So, what should A's fans expect in 2025 from Jacob Wilson? Well, you are going to get a steady, high contact hitter with elite bat control, solid defense, and a calm presence beyond his years. He may not be a 30 homer guy, but he doesn't need to be. Wilson is the kind of player who wins games with smart at bats, smooth defense, and an unshakable approach to the game. Jacob Wilson, the contact hitting wizard with a golden glove and a bright future. He's got the pedigree, the talent, and the work ethic to become a star. Speaking of young stars, I got three that are going to blow your mind in years to come. Up next, today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in on the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's the icing on the cake. Download the app or head to fanduel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's fanduel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. The Athletics, where the payroll is low, but the hopes are high. Somewhere in the A's farm system, three outfielders are fighting for the title of the next big thing. Denzel Clarke, Henry Bolte, and Colby Thomas are all vying for a spot in the A's outfield of the future. And let's just say the competition is juicier than a mid-game hot dog. Each brings something unique to the table, but which one has the highest ceiling, the lowest floor, and the most immediate impact potential? So, who's got the goods to shine? And who might be destined for a career of AAA bus rides and gas station snacks? Let's break it down. Let's start with Denzel Clarke, the highlight reel hero. If baseball had a Sports Center top 10 MVP award, Denzel Clarke would already have a trophy case full of them. Inside the park homers in back-to-back games? Check. Crashing into fences like he's auditioning for an action movie? Double checked. This guy is a walking adrenaline rush. At 6'5" and 220 pounds, Clarke looks like he was built in a lab to play center field, and maybe to scare opposing pitchers while he's at it. Clarke is an athletic anomaly with plus speed and raw power. So what's the problem? Well, Clarke's strikeout rate is higher than my cholesterol after a week of ballpark nachos. At nearly 30%, he's got more holes in his swing than Swiss cheese. Still, his raw power and speed make him a tantalizing prospect. What's his ceiling? How good can he be? He's a five-tool superstar who makes A's fans forget about all those players they've traded away. If Clarke can stay healthy, he could be the A's answer to Byron Buxton, minus all the constant IL stints. His floor? Well, yeah, a strikeout-prone fourth outfielder who occasionally dazzles with jaw-dropping plays. So, what's Clarke need to do in 2025? Well, first and foremost, he needs to stay healthy. Seriously. He had a shoulder strain in 2024 that was absolutely brutal. And he needs to refine his plate discipline and prove he can handle AAA pitching without whiffing at an alarming rate. If he does, he could see big league action by midseason. How about Henry Bolte, the boom or bust wild card? If you're looking for tools, Henry Bolte has a Home Depot aisle worth of them. Power, check. Speed, double check. A potential 30-30 guy, triple check. The A's drafted Bolte out of high school in 2022. And while he's still rawer than sushi, he's shown flashes of brilliance that make scouts drool onto their radar gun. Bolte's 2024 was like one of those roller coasters where you're not sure if you're having fun or about to throw up. He hit 267, he hit 15 homers and an impressive 46 stolen bases across high A and double A, but his strikeout rate remains a glaring issue at over 30%. Let's be honest. Bolte swings like he's trying to hit the ball into another time zone, which is both thrilling and terrifying. Ceiling, a 30-30 threat with electric tools. His floor never makes it past AAA. Bolte has the most variance of the three outfielders. He's got power, he's got speed, and he's got a sky-high ceiling. But he's also raw, with contact issues that could derail his path to the majors. If everything clicks, he could be a Kyle Tucker type 5-tool threat. If he doesn't, he might never make it out of the minors. What Bolte needs to do in 2025 is tighten up that approach at the plate. Seriously. Henry, not every pitch is a fastball down the middle. If he could cut down the strikeouts, improve he could handle advanced pitching, Bolte could be terrorizing AOS pitchers by 2026. If he doesn't, he risks being passed up by other outfielders in the system. How about Colby Thomas, the Thunderbolt? Colby Thomas is a guy you don't notice at first, but then realize he's been carrying the team all along. Drafted in 2022 out of Mercer University, Thomas has quietly become one of the A's most exciting prospects. His 2024 season was nothing short of electric. 31 bombs, 44 doubles, and a .905 OPS across AA and AAA. Oh, and let's not forget his stint with Team USA, where he matched dingers against some of the best international competition. No big deal. Thomas' game is built on raw power and high energy. Think Tyler O'Neill, but with fewer biceps for now. He's not as fast as Clarke or Bolte, but his bat more than makes up for it. His ceiling, he's a middle-of-the-order slugger who racks up RBIs like they're going out of style. His floor, a streaky hitter who struggles with consistency, but still finds a way to stick around as a solid contributor. Thomas could easily be, like I mentioned, that middle-of-the-order masher with 30 home run potential. Or a platoon bat with defensive limitations. What Thomas needs to do in 2025, improve plate discipline, prove he can hit MLB breaking balls. And also, keep raking. If Thomas can replicate his 2024 production while improving his defense and maybe stealing a few more bases, he'll force the A's hand for a big league call-up sooner rather than later. So who's got the edge in this three-way showdown? Honestly, it depends on what you're looking for. If you want jaw-dropping athleticism and highlight reel plays, Clarke is your guy. If you're dreaming of a power-speed combo that could redefine dynamic, Bolte has your heart. If you just want someone who can mash baseballs into orbit, Colby Thomas is your man. If you are looking for immediate impact, Colby Thomas. How can the A's shock the world and win the AL West in 2025? Let's be real. The A's haven't exactly been the darlings of the American League in recent years, but for 2 glorious months in 2024, something clicked. In July, they had the best record in the AL at 15-9. In August, they followed it up with a respectable 14-12 mark. They didn't win any miracle games, but they absolutely coughed up 3 they should have had. In mid-July, Lucas Ursay gave up a 5-2 lead in the 8th against the Angels. In late July, the A's blew a 6-0 lead in Anaheim. And in August, the A's had a 3-run lead going into the 9th against the Reds. As Mason Miller wasn't available that game, it went over to Holman, who gave up the lead, and the Reds walked off the A's. Do you remember those 3 games? They handed away like free samples at Costco. Blowing leads against the Angels twice and the Reds were painful. And if they had held on, they would have been 32-18 over those 2 months. That's just not good. That's the best record in the American League in the month of July and the 4th best record in the American League in the month of August. For a team that spent most of the season playing defense like they were allergic to leather and offense like they were swinging pool noodles, this was nothing short of miraculous. But here's the kicker. They didn't even overachieve during that stretch. They just stopped shooting themselves in the cleats. So how do they take that 2-month heater and stretch it over a full season? How does a team that's been a punchline turn into a legitimate contender? Here's how it happens. Pitching. It's the foundation of competence. First off, Luis Severino needs to channel his inner Max Scherzer and become that guy. Not that guy who gives up 5 runs in the first inning, but that guy who eats innings like Joey Chestnut eats hot dogs. If Severino can stay healthy, I know it's a big if, and Jeffrey Springs can replicate his 2022 form without his arm falling off, we might have a legitimate 1-2 punch. How about JP Sears? Keep doing what you've been doing, buddy. You're the workhorse we didn't know we needed. Osvaldo Bido, you've got the stuff. Now stop making A's fans chew through their fingernails every 5th start. And for the love of someone, can anyone step up for that 5th rotation spot? Joey Estes, Mitch Spence, Hogan Harris. I don't care if it's the ghost of Catfish Hunter. Just give us someone dependable. The bullpen also needs to be more shut down and less shut your eyes and pray. Mason Miller is, as advertised, electric stuff and enough swagger to make hitters question their life choices. Michelle Otanez and Tyler Ferguson showed flashes of brilliance last year. So let's hope they keep climbing the ladder. But here's the real question. Who's going to be our high leverage lefty? And don't tell me TJ McFarland, okay? Scott Alexander was nails during that 2-month stretch in 2024, but we need more options. McFarland was put into games for situational scenarios. Maybe Jacob Lopez, Brady Basso, bring back Barry Zito for all I care. Just give us someone who can get lefties out without inducing heart palpitations. Offense. Less boom or bust. Let's talk bats. The A's were basically living and dying by the long ball last year. Over 50% of their runs came via home runs. That's great when it works. But when it doesn't, you're looking at a lot of lonely nights on the scoreboard. Brett Rooker and Lawrence Butler were the guys during that magical stretch in 2024. But can they do it again? We need Rooker to keep raking and Butler to prove he's not just a 2-month wonder. JJ Bleday, buddy, it's time to step up. That .075 batting average during your leadoff experiment last July was, well, let's just call it bad. And granted, mid-July through the end of August, you were that guy that was the number 4 pick overall. Then there's Tyler Soderstrom. Look, kid, we get it. You've got potential coming out of your ears, but potential doesn't win games. Production does. It's time to turn that prospect label into everyday big leaguer. And Shea Langoliers, keep progressing behind the plate. We need you to be a cornerstone, not just a guy who occasionally hits bombs. Also, can Miguel Andujar stay healthy for once? The guy has more talent than most, but seems to have an annual subscription to the injured list. If he can play a full season without breaking down like an old lawnmower, he could be a difference maker. Defense, stop playing like it's opposite day. Defensively, the A's were, let's call it, challenged for most of 2024. But during that 2-month stretch of competence, they actually looked like a real baseball team with gloves that weren't purchased at a yard sale. If they can carry that improvement into 2025 and maybe teach a few guys how to turn routine plays into actual outs, they'll save enough runs to make a difference in the win column. Can the A's win the AL West in 2025? Well, if the A's just repeat their July, August performance, yeah, absolutely. But that means sustaining the good things they did. Strong pitching, clutch hitting, and improved defense while cutting out the late game meltdowns and offensive black holes. If Severino and Springs hold up, if Rooker and Butler are legit, yeah, 100%. You got your 82 wins, and I think you will have a lot more than that. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I will see you tomorrow